Right, Sunday morning, up early, out and about before everyone else, and I've decided to come over to the riverbank at Shoreham, the Adur River, where there is the most wonderful collection of oddball houseboats. When I was a kid, all of the boats moored up here were World War II motor torpedo boats and landing craft and the such like. And over time people converted them into houses, and then being wooden they would rot away, and then people would bring barges like the Verda or old tugs, and then they would convert those into places to live. Cheap place to live, no rates, no sewage or electricity, although I think some of these now have managed to get some of those amenities. But you can see some of the oddball creations that people have created. It's kind of like a, I don't know what you would call it, a hippie community or whatever, but right on the banks of the river. I think the council has several times over the years endeavoured to clear it and make the river look more presentable and tidy, but that's never quite happened. Seems to be a lot of old fuel tanks from large military aircraft. The Heron there, that would have been a motor torpedo boat by looking at the shape of the hull. And this one here, they've actually incorporated a coach of all things onto the design, which is outlandish. A lot of these boats, because the hulls have rotted away, when the tide comes in, the Adur River's tidal, when the tide comes in they actually fill with water, and the people only live on the upper levels. You know, it's quite amazing to see. That one there has got a Reliant Robin incorporated into it. But people do actually live on here, and as I say, the kind of communities that live on here tend to be your social activists, your warriors of stop oil and all that kind of stuff. But it's affordable housing, which in this day and age, as we all know, is few and far between. And there's a boardwalk here, a raised boardwalk that walks along the estuary. This raised boardwalk was put in to alleviate flooding, because there has been instances where the river has overflowed. Now this one would have been like an old coal barge or something like that they've adapted. I'm not sure I really want to go over that rickety bridge every day to get on board and take you shopping from Tesco's. Somebody's got CCTV, so they're obviously keen to see what's going on. But they've, you know, little homemade gardens with tiles and such like. Has that kind of commune feel about it. There's another one. Everything's rusty. It's the colour of things when they rust. You know. We'll walk away and you get odd jogger out at this time in the morning. Making his way. Trying to lose a bit of weight by the look of it. It's going to overtake us any minute now. Good morning. Another one that looks to have been something like a barge or something in the past. This blue one, once again, has got that characteristic shape of a Second World War wooden hulled motor torpedo boat. In the background you can see the bridge that leads over the Arun, not the Arun, the Adur into Shoreham, and you can see the mud flats when the tide's out. On a microwave. As I say, if you came back late at night, you'd quite easily have an accident, I think. There's one there that looks almost like a wooden sauna, you know. This person here is offering fly fishing lessons. Not sure what flag that is. I think that's probably the Palestinian flag of all things. flying over the river in Adur. Another vessel. So right assortment. This one here's got quite an extensive little garden. Oh, somebody's doggy. Well, as I say, it's a whole community living in converted houseboats and barges and tugboats alongside the river. Another one there, you can see. I suppose as long as it's watertight, shouldn't be too much of a problem. Well, as long as you're not seasick, that'll be the other thing. And there's a big one here, but I'm not sure how easy it is to see, so we'll have a look over the top. That's a good thing about that. Now this one was some kind of iron boat at some stage, maybe a minesweeper or something. Have a look, see if we get a better view from a different angle. Aha, there we are, there's a better view. Far more substantial vessel, that one. There's another one that somebody has really spent a lot of time and effort on building out and made quite a good job of. A funnel off of something with a bee motif. Wonder what that came off of. Came off of something interesting, I'm sure. We get some funnels. That looks good. As I say, could be in a little wildlife area with all the plants and such like. A lot of people have actually put up fences, you know, give themselves a degree of privacy, and also deny access to the boats. They're obviously the more organised people. Oh, some more here. This basically goes along the whole length of the river. You can hear the train in the background. See Shoreham over the distance. See how much further we can go along in this direction, and then we'll probably turn around and go back the other way. A bit more open area here. So once again, you get a good idea of what the mudflats look like when the tide is out. Not sure those windows down low wouldn't flood. You don't know, do you? A canoe abandoned. There's a hull of another one, which was obviously some kind of coal barge or something. Looking at the construction. Good morning to you. Solar panels fitted. I suppose if you're off the grid and you've not got electricity, then solar panels is the way to go. That one there has even got a satellite dish. All the comforts of home. Go along the path a bit. Palm tree, inevitable palm tree. I was saying to Roy, it's only when you start counting them you notice how many palm trees there are around, especially down in this area. Little children's play area, and then the little bridge there, and that little bridge is just to an overflow lake, and the cars going along there on the main coast road that leads to Worthing and Shoreham. Little one there. You find alongside the river a lot of abandoned boats, which have obviously seen better days. Alright, we'll take a pause and then we'll reset. Another view of this old metal vessel, quite impressive to look at. Right here, I'm not quite sure what they're creating here. Looks to be some kind of stealth houseboat, very low to the water, pointy jagged edge, filled up with foam. But they're obviously creating some kind of new vessel. You know, can't be sure exactly what it is, but it's a very, very unusual shape. And this one here, M1095, I believe was either a West German or East German motor torpedo boat during the 1960s and 70s, I think it was, which somebody has brought over from Germany and converted into a houseboat. One of the larger vessels here, and probably one of the ones that's in better condition, although when you look at it up close it's showing a bit of damage to its hull. Let's hub up so we get a better view. Another picture of the stealth houseboat. Very weird. I think there's an information sheet here that tells you something about this one. There we are. Well, this. Not sure that is this vessel. I think that is the boat they had before, because if you look at the design of the hull, it's completely different. So I think that one they lived until 2003, and then they acquired this new one, which when you look at it up close you can see that it's actually a wooden hull again. I suppose wood is easy and cheap to use, and it's also light, isn't it? That's the other thing. Got houses here that literally back right onto this. So we get another view. Yeah. So your back garden literally backs onto this raised walkway and the river. And the reason they, as I say, they built this raised walkway was those once in 100-year events with the river floods, to the extent it would flood these houses. Yeah, more palm trees. There's one thing that's not down here in the south coast, it's a shortage of palm trees. More CCTV, everyone likes CCTV. More houseboats. Yeah, that's another motor torpedo boat by the look of the hull, the shape of the hull. Second World War British motor torpedo boats had a very sculpted hull in order that they would go through the water fast. So even if you can't see the majority of the boat any longer, if you can see the bow, the shape of the bow will invariably tell you whether or not it was a British motor torpedo boat. Seen a couple of joggers, that's about it. Not much else than that. It's only about 8 o'clock, I think. So a lot of people are probably having a lay-in. Very colourful though, which is nice. People take a bit of effort, and that one looks to be a coal barge. Big one here off to my left, I can't quite see because of this hedge, but we'll have a look in a minute, see if we can look back at it. Yeah, there's another one. Another one there, it's quite nice. Been done nicely. as I say, a lot of effort has gone into a lot of these. You know, timber construction, you know, making them waterproof, that kind of stuff. So whereas they used to just be conversions of old boats, people have actually built quite a lot on top of those hulls to create a reasonable size living space. Another hull, it was probably a barge at some stage. Yeah. These ones here seem to be all barges, you know, Thames barges, that kind of stuff that would have been used in the past. Get all these little features like these sculpted heads and such like. Nearly getting to the end of this part of the path. Another nice one. That one's flaking a bit. Oh. Mango, I think a right garden going on there, haven't they? Yeah. Got their own little nursery. A little bit of a ramshackle shack. Once again, looking at the hull of this one, it's got that very characteristic motor torpedo bolt hole, and you can see how the hull is delaminating, because invariably they were a wooden frame with plywood over them. So bearing in mind 1940s, we're now nearly 80 years old. It's a wonder it still exists. Roy, I sent him recently the film The Ship That Died of Shame, and that would have been the same type of motor torpedo boat, but without the superstructure. They generally had a more open superstructure. But yeah, the kind of motor torpedo boat is the one that appeared in that film, The Ship That Died of Shame. And another barge. Now, you can see the relatively new footbridge that leads over into Shoreham. St Mary's Church, the main church in Shoreham. And just to the right of St Mary's Church is the main pedestrian walkway. A lot of new housing along the river. It used to be all warehouses because it used to be a very active port, but that's now significantly changed to become residential blocks of flats with nothing under, you know, 300,000. Take a little break again. Another view looking back towards the main bridge into Shoreham. As I say, at high tide all of this floods, and this little wreck of a dinghy will be underwater. There's no way that's going to float, you know. So, as I say, this path literally runs from the bridge over there down the southern side of the river as far as this footbridge here. It's also a cycle path I have to watch so I don't get run over. Shoreham for a long time managed to retain a lot of its old character, and there was a rule up to a few years ago that no building could be built which was taller than the church over there, St Mary's Church. And then along comes some developers who want to build these big blocks of flats, and somehow they managed to get that rule of like 200 years overturned, and as a result we've now got tower blocks. But for probably 200 years the rule was nothing could be taller than the church. The church, for religious reasons or for planning reasons, had to be the tallest building in the town. But as I say, money talks, and they wanted to build blocks of flats, so suddenly that rule after all those years gets chucked out, and you can now build whatever you want, which is detrimental, I would say, because they're totally changing the character. You've got the old part of Shoreham with the traditional residents, and then you've got these new blocks of flats which are not being occupied by local people. They're generally overspill people from Brighton who can't afford to live in Brighton anymore, or people coming down from London, but they're not being occupied by local people. Local people can't afford them. Got some houses here, bungalows, literally, I don't know, 30 or 40 feet away from the river. And you've got a footbridge going over. Still a bit overcast at the moment, but it's only about getting on for like 8:30. What's been happening the last couple of days is it starts off dull, and then as the morning goes on it gets hotter and hotter. It gets to about 24, 25 degrees, and then kind of stays about there and gets very humid. I think we've been having like 80-degree humidity. Right, this is the footbridge. Leads into Shoreham town centre from Shoreham Beach. We're on Shoreham Beach. Lots of these really decrepit old boats just get abandoned. People forget who owns them, and then over time they literally just fall to bits. Can't imagine any of these have ever been to sea before. Now the Shoreham, which is this thing, is an ex-ferry of all things. I'm not sure if it was a Mersey ferry or where, but it came from up north somewhere. Towed it all the way down here, and it's now somebody's living accommodation. You can see the new flats over there. Also what used to be the yacht club. Yeah, the yacht club is there. Very exclusive yacht club, not sure why. But if you go towards the new flats, that will take you to the entrance to the river and the harbour. We may well go and have a look there in a minute. Waterside pub, been here for years. When everyone used to come off the ships, you know, the freighters and that, they would go to pubs like the Waterside pub, or 3 or 4 other pubs that are directly opposite the road. And yeah, we'd be full of sailors and that kind of stuff. But now 1 or 2 ships a week, and mostly smaller stuff carrying timber. Yeah, we used to get coal freighters because there used to be a big power station. It was like a mini Battersea power station. It even looked like Battersea power station, and the ships would bring in coal to fire the power station, and that power station provided power to Worthing, Shoreham, Brighton, you know. And as I say, it was like a miniature Battersea power station with the chimneys and everything. Probably built around the same time. We'll venture across the bridge into Shoreham town centre another day. It's for another video. Also it's another one of these areas that's best to visit when it's quiet, or get run down by cyclists. One last shot from the riverbank, showing the bridge, and just beyond the bridge, the South Downs, which literally shows how close the downs are to the river, and from the river to the sea. Yeah, you know, whenever possible, trying to take the dogs up on the downs, because they like to run free, and as I say, it's so close. Yeah, got lucky in that we got the sea and we got the countryside. Right, this is Wide Water. Wide Water's a strange area. It's like a little, I don't know what you would call it, reservoir of water that is right next to the beach at Shoreham. Now the reservoir, or Wide Water, is fresh water, whereas the sea, which is the other side of those beach huts, is salt water. So literally the other side of those beach huts you've got the sea, and then here you've got this like inland reservoir that stretches along quite a way. the other side of these big houses is the main A27 coast road. So you are literally not even 100 yards from the main coast road. And if we make our way up this short incline, which will prove how fit I am or not, because it is quite steep, you will get a better impression of how close it actually is to the sea. There we are, here's the beach huts. So you can see the sea through there with the windmills. And then literally wide water is there. It's a bit of an anomaly really. Now these concrete rivets, I believe, are remnants of Second World War gun emplacements, which were built along here because this was part of the invasion coast where they anticipated the Germans were going to come ashore. But the Germans hopefully liked Shingle Beach because we've got a lot of shingle. You can see all the windmills out at sea. Then off in the distance you can see, first thing you can see is a big tall power station tower. That's the new power station. And then if you look along the coast you'll see another tower. That's the, I think they call it the, it used to be the British Airways I-360. Then if you follow the coast along, that will be the Seven Sisters, which are the chalk cliffs. And if you go round that, you're off towards Beachy Head, that kind of area. And then if we come round, if we go in that direction, you may be able to just see the pier. Let me just see if I can stabilise it. Yeah, you should be able to see Worthing Pier in the distance. So Worthing Pier and Worthing's newest tower block, Splash Point, is over there. And we come along, CCC, the end of the beach, Brighton, and then where the cranes are is Shoreham. Lots of beach huts. Beach huts are very expensive. They go for, depending on where they're located, they can go up for up to like £50,000 for something that you use maybe a couple of weeks a year. But as I say, this is wide water, which is this strange area. Now if you follow this footpath you literally can walk all the way back to Worthing, and Worthing being where you see the white tower block in the distance. But yep, wide water, a bit of an anomaly, doesn't really make sense, but another strange area. You can see the Downs, South Downs off there in the background. South Downs, the beginning of the South Downs is about four miles away.